Hello, my name is Carl Surrey, and this is a video tutorial for the Fans of Serif Software Facebook group. In this tutorial, I would just like to try and improve this image I have here by turning it into a black and white image. But even turning it into a black and white image can not always 100% improve the image, because this is a fairly flat and colorless image, and the black and white version will probably look the same, but we can improve on that. Now, I have in the layers display area down here, I have an extra layer I've already made, which is hidden at the moment. I'll just click on this to make it visible. This is just a quick rough idea of how I want to do this. I want to make one selection of the sky area and alter that, and then the second selection of the sea area, and then the third of the grass area, and alter each individually. Because if you make an across the board alteration using whichever tool, it will affect all areas. So you need to select different areas that you want to affect differently, because obviously if I want to make the sky darker, the grass would get darker if I did it across the whole picture, and it's not what I want. So I will hide this now because we don't need that anymore. So the first thing to do is to make this image black and white. So if you go up to Image, Adjust, and then down to black and white, it should say Film here, but it's missing. Click on that, and then you get the black and white film toolbox. Now you can, if you want, make some alterations here, like you could make the sky dark, the blues darker by moving this to the right. And although this is black and white image, it is still affecting the colours. Right, you can tinker with this a little bit. I could make the grass a bit lighter, for example. But you are affecting the whole image, even with this. So I mean, if there was any blue down here and you made the sky darker, it would make the blue down here darker, which is not what we're really after. So I'll pretty much leave that alone and just click OK. Now, as I said before, even though this is now a black and white image, it is still a fairly flat image. So what I'm going to do is first is select the sky area. Now over here in the Tools toolbar, the fifth one down, are the lasso selections tools. We've got three different ones, but I'm going to use the first one, which is the freehand selection tool. Now I'm going to move the cursor down to right along the edge to where the sky touches the land. I'm going to click the left mouse button and hold, and then I'm just going to draw roughly, it doesn't have to be 100% precise, roughly along the skyline, and then come up outside the picture, but carry on holding the mouse button down, and then down the side until you come back to where you started. Release the left mouse button, and there you have the sky selected. I just missed a little bit off there, but I'm not going to worry too much about this just for this demonstration. Now, this is a fairly sharp selection. If I just use it as is, when I made the alterations, you would see the difference between the skyline and the sea and the land area, because there are very sharp edges. So we need to soften those edges along there, and to do that, you've got the Modify Selection button up here. You click on that, and to help you see what's going to happen, if you click the preview and come down to Overlay, it will make the selection area turn red, and you can see that everything that was inside those margin ends of the selection area is now, and you can see where that edge would be very straight and sharp. So what we're going to do is feather that. So I'm going to go up quite high to about 140, 150, and as you can see, that edge now has become blurred, and it will just gradually blend into the sea and the land, which is what we're after. So I'll click OK. So as you can see, where I made the drawing as a straight line across the horizon, it has now come down here a bit, and that's where it's going to gradually blur into the area below. So what we need to do now is make a new layer from this selection. Now, to do that, you come up to the layers menu, and you come over down to new, and then down to layer from selection copy. The easiest way to do this would be using Control and J, which I will do later on, but while I'm in this menu I'll just click on this. Well, if we come back down here to the layer display area, if I turn off the bottom layer, you can see this layer has only the sky on it, and you can see where it has feathered and or faded in from the sky into the land area. So I'll turn this bottom layer back on, and if I come up here to the adjustments panel and I select levels, which is the top one, click on that. Down here in the layer display area, you now have the new layer with the levels tool on it and the white layer mask. First time I tried this, for some reason it put a black layer mask and it didn't work, so I had to delete it and do it again, and it came up with the white layer mask. You do need the white layer mask. And up here in the adjustment tools area, you have the layers levels tool, and as you can see in the histogram, it's given where all the tones are mainly in the middle section, and there's not many whites and there's not many no blacks at all. Now the thing is, at the moment if I use the levels tool, it will affect the whole image because all the image is visible. If I just demonstrate this, I'll move this to the left and it will make it lighter. Move it to the right, the whole image gets darker, which is not what we want. I'll put that back to where it was. So what we need to do is to make this levels layer only affect the sky layer that we made earlier. So if I right click this and then you come up to clip to layer below, I click that, that will then move over to the right and a little funny arrow there, which means it will now only affect the layer below it. It will not affect this one. So if I now move this middle pointer to the left, only the sky gets lighter, and I move it to the right, only the sky gets darker. Now obviously I don't want to go that far. I do want to make the sky darker, but not as dark as that, because it starts to break up a bit. Let's make it there. So if I then hide that, you can tell the difference between where it was and where I've put it. It may be still a bit too dark, so I'll just bring it back slightly. Yes, I think that's okay. So that is the sky section completed. So now if I go back down and highlight the background section again, and now I'm now going to select the sea area. So again I will use the lasso tool. I will come over to where the sky and the sea meet, left click, and then come along the horizon, and then come down this grass area here, and then back up to where I started, let go of the left mouse button, and this is the sea area now selected. And like before, I'm going to modify it. I'm going to go up to about 150 or so, 145, there you go. That'll do, click OK. And again, I need to make a new layer from this selection. So I'm just going to press Ctrl and J, And as you can see down here in the layers display area, you now have this new layer. If I turn off that one and that one, there's a layer, and you can see it is fading into the land and the sky equally. I'll bring those back on. You can get rid of these margins just by pressing Control and D, and they will go away because we don't need them anymore. Right, like before, I'm going to place a levels adjustment layer above this new layer. I'll come up here, click on levels, and again right click and go to clip to layer below, so it only affects the C area that I want. So again, I'm going to move this, I want to make it a bit darker. You can also move these outside buttons in as well, so I can bring that in so the black areas start from at the beginning of the histogram. I can bring the white areas start where the histogram ends, the black areas. Histograms confuse me, I'm very sorry. So I brought both these edges in, so at the beginning of where the histogram starts, and then you can move your middle one, which is the midtones, as to where you want them. So you could make it a sort of really bright and shiny C, or a much more dark and moody C, which I'm going to come down to there, I think. Yes, I think I'm happy with that. So now we come to the last section, which is the land area. So again, come back down to the very bottom layer, click on that to highlight it. Then we need to make a new selection. Now this time I'm going to start over here, click on the left mouse button, and then just draw a rough selection up along the skyline. You can stay outside the image to do this outside edge. Back up to where we started, release the left mouse button, and that's now selected. Come up to modify, feather, I'll do the overlay for you, feather, and I'll again go up to the 150 mark, and then click OK, press Control and D, oh no, hang on, I've got to make a selection first, Control and J to make a new layer from that selection. So that is now down here in the layer display areas, they're called layer 4. Now I can press Control and D to get rid of those marginets. And now I need an adjustment layer, levels adjustment layer for the land area. So I'll come up here, click on levels, and again right click this new layer and clip to layer below, so it only affects this land area layer. So again, it's just a case of altering your levels. I'm going to bring these areas in. Now this time I want to lighten the grass, so I'll move it to the left, and I think that's about where I need to be. Yes, I quite like that. So I've now got a much brighter land area, and I've made the sky and the sea a bit more moody and darker. So to help get a comparison of where we started from, what I will do is I will quickly come down here to the background layer, highlight that, and I will right click and come up to duplicate. Okay, to get rid of that. So I've now got a copy of the bottom layer, and I will click and hold and drag this up to the top of the layer stack, and that will now place a copy of the bottom layer. So if I turn this on and off, this is what it started out looking like. If I turn it off, this is what it now looks like after I've made some alterations. I'm hoping you like me feel that it is a much more dramatic looking and a better black and white photograph. So all that is left to do now is to merge your layers. Come up to the layers menu, down to merge, merge all. So then you just have the one layer now down here in the layers display area, and then you can save your image. Come down to save as. Now I would advise you to save this under a new name so you don't lose your original. So that is all. Thank you very much and goodbye.